Assalamualaikum and hi to Dr. Raja and fellow friends. Today, our group will present about the principle of training. We'll introduce myself first. My name is Muhammad Ifan bin Halim and my teammates Muhammad Nazrul Imran bin Nasruddin, Muhammad Ifan bin Kamal Azman, Muhammad Faizal Haziq bin Maizan, Muhammad Izzat Akil bin Muhammad Tua and Ros Humaidi bin Rosaha.
Okay, we move to the next slide, which is training principle. Okay, we move to the point number one is what is training. Training is a systematic of a long duration, progressive and individually graded, aiming at the modeling in the human physiology and psychological function. The aim of the training is to maximum our individual performance in the selected sport. Other than that, the training also improve our abilities and fitness to perform in the sport. The point number two is the training usually use both general and even specific exercise to develop individual skill for their sport. The training is a cyclical process, tear down recovery and build up adaptation. When we training, we do the exercise that can damage to our cells to use up the cellular such as fuel, water and salt. The resource of the cellular resource make our body become weaker and not stronger. In my opinion, the amount of cellular resources weaker based on the amount and intensity during the training or the exercise. After the training session, our body need new cellular resources to make our body become normal. We should give our body proper rest and food and relax to make our body adjust to super compensate and prepare for the next session. Okay, next we move to the next slide, which is a major objective that causes biological adaptation. There are 5 training principles in this topic, which is specificity, progression, overload, reversibility, and trait. The specificity is a training program to beneficial must be developed in a specified but physiological and required to perform on a given sport. The specificity based on the observation to improve our performance through the training, and they need to do a specific task and a fitness type such as strength, endurance, power, and flexibility. Okay, the next one is progression. The progression is our body need to adapt to increase the intensity, weight, frequency, and type during a training. We must record our every training session to measure our progress in training. The third one is overload. Overload is a challenge to our current fitness or performance level. Overload must be progressive to continue prompt training adaptation that you use overload by adjusting the frequency, intensity, time, and type (FITT). Okay, next one is reversibility. Is a metabolic cardiorespiratory benefit that gain through the exercise training that lost within a relatively short period of the time after the training stop. Okay, for the last one is a trait, relative fitness at the beginning of the training. The trainee respond to given exercise stimulus, which is a individual trait. Okay, we move to the next slide, which is the purpose of the training. The first point is to destroy our muscle tissue. The effect of training to destroy our muscle tissue. There will be a little or no adaptation if training occurs every single day. There are 2 types of the recovery, which is active recovery and rest recovery. Active recovery means we still training but in a low intensity. For the rest recovery is we relax or do nothing in the day. The next one is working capacity, which is recovery from a total volume of work. Working capacity able to do a certain amount of work. Other than that, work capacity, also the ability to keep moving at the same pace for a long period. The next point is can develop physiological and psychological. As we know, the physiological need to maximize the athlete performance. We can relate the imagery in the sport that can experience using mimics, using a combination with different sensory modalities. For the last one is to improve the athlete performance by skill levels. There are many types of the training that we can apply during a training to improve our strength and endurance and skills. They also can give knowledge about the sport that enable to learn about the important and tactical during the game. Okay, we move to the next slide, which is individual training capacity. The coach needs to consider their athlete ability, which is we must know our athlete ability with their intensity and pace. Next one is gender, male or female athlete. Usually, male athlete have a higher intensity than a woman. Potential demand of the sport. Demand of the sport, which is if the athlete is a marathon runner, we must focus on their endurance, health status, and recovery state. Make sure we know their injury or health status to prevent from the injury become worse.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Nazrul Imran bin Nasruddin. I will proceed with the next part in this chapter, which is the training methodology. First of all, training method is the form of exercise you select to improve your fitness. Training must be relevant to your goals. This refers to the training principle of specificity. Certain types of training complement specific sports, while sports coaches and athletes should be aware of this and how to implement them into their training programs. Generally, there are 9 types of training method to be discussed in this part, which is continuous training, circuit training, plyometric training, Swiss ball training, resistance training, flexibility training, interval sprint training, and aerobic floor classes. Hence, the following examples are brief and research will need to occur into developing relevant exercises within these methods. Okay, I will explain one by one. The first training method is continuous training. It can be defined as steady state training, includes longer intervals of physical exercise without breaks or rest periods. Ideally, in this method, the heart rate is kept constant between 60% to 80% throughout the session. It aims at enhancing your respiratory and cardiovascular system. Thus, once you build your cardiovascular endurance, it becomes easier for your body to cope up with routine activities without running out of your breath. For example, the type of sessions include swimming, running, biking, walking, or a combination of all for about 20 to 30 minutes. The energy system used is predominantly aerobic glycolysis. The second one is fartlek training. Fartlek, a Swedish term that means speed play, is a training method that blends the elements of continuous and interval training. It involves the change in speed or terrain to emphasize on both aerobic and anaerobic system and increase the recovery rate. It challenges the athlete's body to adapt to different speed levels, hence acclimatizing their body to run faster over long distances. The benefits of fartlek training includes improved endurance and speed, more flexibility and versatility in the athlete's game, and more race tactic for runners. This method is suitable for cross-country runners, team games involving variation in speed, and marathon runners. The third one is circuit training. Circuit training is a method of body conditioning, involves endurance training, resistance training, and high-intensity aerobic workout. It can train a variety of athlete fitness components such as cardiorespiratory endurance, muscular endurance, speed, agility, and etc. Circuit training involves 8 to 10 stations performed for a certain number of repetitions or time. It is important to vary the muscle group and planning about the number of repetitions or time spent on each station. An example of circuit training includes bodyweight squats, press-ups, plank, star jump, press, back extension, mountain climbers, and each of the exercises need to be completed for around 40 seconds and 20-second rest with 2 to 4 laps of total. The fourth one is plyometric training. Plyometric or jump training includes exercise in which the body exerts a peak force in short intervals of time. It focuses on muscle extension and contraction swiftly. It involves exercise such as bounding, hopping, jumping, and medicine ball passing. In addition, plyometric helps improve power and explosiveness for sports, especially sports that involve jumping, throwing, and speed. Also, plyometric training involves an eccentric, consists of lowering and landing contraction, where muscle lengthen under tension, consists of downward phase of a squat, where muscle shorten under tension. This type of training is very demanding on the body. Usually, this training method consists of 3 to 5 sets of repetitions are performed. For example, these are highly beneficial for martial artists, sprinters, volleyball players, and high jumpers, as it can train the ATP and CP system. The Swiss ball, also known as an exercise ball or a gym ball, is a training aid aimed primarily at stretching and strengthening of the abdominal, groin, lumbar, and upper leg muscles of the body. The development of this structure is often referred to as building and maintaining of core strength, an important stabilizing feature in any sport. Generally, the classic Swiss ball exercises involve abdominal muscle with corresponding response from the groin and the stabilizer of lower back. The oblique muscles that run parallel to the spine above the pelvis. Hence, the Swiss ball is an ideal supplement to an existing training program, such as yoga or Pilates, which promote greater strength and flexibility in a safe and controlled physical setting.
Thank you, Nazrul. Now, we move to the next type of training method, which is resistance training. What is resistance training? Resistance training is a form of physical activity that is planned or structured to improve muscular fitness by exercising a muscle or a muscle group against the external resistance. Point number 2. Resistance training is any exercise that causes and affects the muscles to contract against an external resistance with the expectation of increase in strength, power, hypertrophy, and also endurance. We move to the next slide, which is types of resistance training. Number 1, free weight. The classic strength training tools such as dumbbells or barbell. Number 2, weight machine. The device that have adjustable seats that with handle that attach either to weights or hydraulics. The third one is medicine ball, or what we call as weighted ball. Fourth one is resistance bands. That this equipment provide resistance when we stretch it. They are portable and can be adapted to most of the workout exercise. The band provide continuous resistance throughout a movement. And the last one, we also can use our own body weight, such as using the exercise like squats or push-up. Next, we move to the flexibility training. What is flexibility training? Flexibility is the range of motion in a joint or group of joints, or the ability to move joints effectively through a complete range of motion without any injury happen. Point number 2. The flexibility training includes stretching, exercise to lengthen the muscle, and may include the activities such as yoga and tai chi. There was 2 major types of flexibility training, which were PNF stretching and also static stretching. there was another two type of flexibility training. The first one is active isolated stretching, or AIS, which is the stretching is a technique that involves contracting the opposite muscle from the one you are stretching, holding it for 2 seconds, then relax, and repeating it for 8 to 10 times. Another one is myofascial release. Myofascial release is the exercise that use the foam rolling, which can also help to increase the flexibility. Another benefit from using the myofascial release is we can increase the blood flow and the tissue, and also we can release the tension. Okay, we move to the interval sprint training. In interval sprint training, the interval of higher intensity training consists of all-out sprints, which we giving 100% of our effort and determination. Because of this extreme intensity, the duration of this interval is very short. The workout itself has to be much shorter, simply because working at this level of intensity is difficult to keep maintained and sustain during the training. And the last one is this type of training method are followed by the rest intervals, and it has been designed to improve speed, power, and also agility. We move to the last type of training methodology. What is aerobic flow classes? Aerobic flow classes are kind of aerobic that are generally performed using no equipment during the workout. Aerobic flow classes are type of continuous training but also include the calisthenic exercise such as plank and also jumping jack. It usually found in the circuit training, and it works on the cardiorespiratory endurance, strength, muscular endurance, flexibility and agility, and also mainly use the aerobic glycolysis system. The last one is, it is very common for the aerobic to use circuits of dance like motion to get the heart rate up, burn calories, and offer a bit of muscle strengthening. Most of the routine are performed to upbeat music, and the steps follow the beats of the song.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Roshumaidi Beroshaha. So now I will proceed to the principle of physical fitness training. As you can see in my slide, the principles are defined as basis truth or statement that serve as the basis for a system of thought or behavior. So this is mean that principle is a fundamental. So next, the objective of the principle is to ensure that the training works and is effective. For example, like an athlete, the training, the exercise, but it don't improve or enhance anything. So we need the principle of physical fitness training so that we can improve and enhance our performance. So without the principle, we will not going anywhere. We are not moving forward. Next slide is overload. So overload is an action moving forward or advancing towards a specific goal step by step. For example, from a simple work or skill to a complex work or skill. Alright, so athlete needs to work harder when their bodies acclimatize to existing workout or work at higher volume and intensity to improve performance. So by doing work higher rate, volume and intensity from the usual, and then we can improve and enhance our performance. We need to use overload. Principle of physical fitness training is FITT. So what is FITT? FITT is a frequency, intensity, time and type. So principle of FITT is an excellent method to track our training program. So this for fitness training concept apply to who exercise at low to moderate level of intensity, and the guideline for both cardiorespiratory or weight training or resistance training may be established using this method. So as you can see in my slide, the frequency is the amount of exercise you do or how frequently you exercise. So this is the number of exercise, like for one session, like 3 exercise, 4 exercise or 5. Next is intensity. So intensity is the amount of exercise performed or how hard you work out. For example, in cardiorespiratory training, we can measure our intensity from our heart rate. Alright, so from 50% of heart rate to 80% of heart rate. Alright, that is intensity. Next is time. Time is the amount of time of you spending exercising or length of time you work out. So this is the duration time. So like one session, for how long you take time to perform the session? Is it 30 minutes or 1 hour? Alright, so the last one is the type. Type is sort of exercise performed or type of activity you perform. For example, today you're gonna perform the cardiorespiratory training. The next day, is it a weight training or resistance training or flexibility training? Alright, so that's all from me. Now I will like my friend to continue the presentation. Thank you.
We're moving to the next slide, which is specificity. Okay, the specificity is referred to the specific adaptation response to the specific of stimulus imposed. Means that if we do the exercise for the upper body, so means that the muscle in the upper body will respond and will become bigger because we specific at that area. If we target want to strength or want to achieve a good strength in the lower body, so we have to exercise or choose the type of exercise targeted to the lower body. So as the result, the person that assess the specific type of exercise will improve the possibility of physical activity and achieve the fitness. Okay, we proceed to the next slide, rest and recovery. Okay, on the other hand, this rest and recovery is a vital part of any exercise or training plan because it helps to rebuild and strengthen itself the muscle between the session. Means that if we do the exercise between the session, we must have a short recovery to make sure our body can rebuild and restrain itself. Okay, this rest and recovery is required and it should be in the training program to make sure that our body have enough energy and the muscle can rebuild, so we can the muscle can become more bigger and more stronger. There are two type of recovery, which short-term recovery and long-term. Okay, short-term recovery used between the set or the session. For the long-term recovery is maybe 1 week. We training for the 3 day, so we rest about 4 day. We should alter the rest and exercise recovery session to make the training session more effective. We proceed to the next slide. Use it or lose it, because our body are so complicated. It's critical to understand what happened when we become in shape or when we begin the decoordination process. So the hypertrophy is a process or is a term when our muscle gain strength or bigger, and for the atrophy is when our muscle is become decoordination, and the strength is decreased as the result of inactivity. Means that if we keep workout and use our muscle actively, so our muscle will become hypertrophy, and when we do not exercise or not use the muscle frequently, our muscle will become atrophy and it lose the strength. Okay, next slide is individual differences. Means that each individual have a unique, and everyone have a different reaction to an exercise program. There are certain of this variation may be due to body size and shape, heredity, prior experience, chronic illness, injury, and gender. And maybe some people require more time to recuperate than the other. As we know, we have three types of body, which endomorph, mesomorph, and ectomorph. So this type of body can be effect to the exercise, mean that each of this type may require a different may require different reaction toward the exercise. Next is the gender also have a different effect on the exercise, mean that if the man have more strength compared to the woman, because men have more muscle in the body compared to the women.
For the conclusions, the principles of training should be thought of as the golden rules of making fitness training work for the individual participants. Following these golden rules will help to guarantee success and will carry athletes toward their training and performance goals. All training is aimed at creating long-term physical change in the body system. So that's all from us. Thank you.